The Brown Park Podcast is brought to you by Grow Clinics. They're Australia's leading hair transplant clinics, and you can go to growclinics.com.au.
We're recording.
Hello.
G'day, mate. What's news?
Not much.
Oh, in your life? Never, ever. If I ever ask you what news is, there's always something because you never freaking stop.
Oh, yes. That's why I thought I'd go with a different answer then. I'd try and shock you a little bit.
Well, it put me off my guard there a little bit, but I knew you full of shit.
Yeah. Thank you. But today we are talking cold water therapy.
We've done this before, haven't we?
Well, we have outside of the podcast, but we've never really talked about it much on the podcast and what the benefits are and what the non-benefits are. So we thought we'd get into it with somebody who's a bit of an expert, who's also from Bondi Rescue. He's a lifeguard on Bondi Beach. His name's Dean Gladstone. He's going to teach us all how to breathe.
Woosah.
The Brown Park Podcast.
Question.
Yes.
All right, so we know we're going into cold water therapy territory here.
Yep. Yeah.
We have to work the whole bit. Now, we've spoken about it on the podcast before when we did cold water therapy and you were somewhat unsuccessful at the time.
Yep.
Do you think now you're in a bit of a better headspace mentally, you could do it?
I don't know.
What's the reservations? What don't you think you can do?
I'm just a wuss.
You're not.
I am.
Well, you're not. Well,
I am in some. Okay, I am in some respects of my life, and that is not meant. Okay, so here you go.
Right.
I've gotten mentally stronger where I can handle things on a mental level, but on a physical level, I'm not there.
Right.
So I think my brain says, "Yeah, you can do this," but my body does it and goes, "What the fuck are you doing? Do not do this. This is stupid."
This is not a warm spa or getting a massage or anything.
Exactly.
What the hell?
It's the same with like strenuous exercise. I am not one of those ones that could ever become like ripped like Chris Hemsworth or someone like that because I don't like to put myself through the physical pain of it. Right. I don't want to feel the pain the next day of waking up and going, "Oh God, I lifted too many weights yesterday." I don't like that.
Okay.
So I never quite push myself physically.
Yep. Well, we're going to fix that.
No, we're not.
I think we need to just give it another crack, all right? We'll just give it another crack. I think we just ease yourself into it. I think we can do it.
Give me a spa and a margarita and I'd be fine, but a cold plunge, no.
You don't reckon you're going to do it? Are you willing to give it another crack? Yes or no? You don't have to?
No. Yeah, all right, yes.
All right, very good. We've got the commitment. Okay. We'll do it.
Thank you. But our guest today is an expert on it, and his name's Dean Gladstone. He's also from Bondi Rescue, and he's on the show. Hello.
G'day, Dean.
Thanks for having me, gents.
No
I always enjoy a chat. It seems nice and relaxed already.
It is very
is there any rules? Anything I can't say?
No, you can say anything you want. You can swear. Good. You can curse us out. You can do whatever. Really,
we aren't governed by any corporate beast. We do what we want when we want. All right.
Beautiful.
We're an independent podcast, so that means we can say fuck. We can say I won't say the other one, but we can say everything.
Don't want to slag off any of your sponsors.
Hey, we are willing to sell out. So if any corporate beasts are listening to this, we will fall in line.
Everyone has a price.
Everybody does have a price.
I tell the kids as well. They're like, "Daddy, how much would you do this for?" I'm like, "Oh, it'd have to be a lot."
Yeah. Well, no, we're cheap and nasty.
$5 is $5, Dean.
I want to start off by asking what got you into lifeguarding in the first place, and then second to that, how did you get to be on one of Australia's busiest beaches?
Yeah, I guess. Well, I wasn't good at anything else. So, I had learning difficulties. I could barely spell. I still struggle, to be fair. But I was a swimmer. I was really good in the water. So it felt like, after bouncing around, I tried accounting at TAFE. I was actually okay at maths. And then I just struggled with it. There was too much reading and writing. And then I did a plumbing apprenticeship. And one day I was at the beach. My mum's a nurse, and the lifeguards actually brought someone back to life, and I was just blown away.
Yeah, right.
And Mum, as a nurse with a medical background, she explained to me what was going on. And, growing up around the beaches, seeing the lifeguards driving buggies, it was always like, oh, yeah. And, growing up for the surf club, it just seemed like a natural career path.
I'll tell you what, between accounting and spending your days on the beach, I think you made the right choice, bro.
Yeah, and plumbing.
And plumbing. You're digging shit out of a hole.
Well, some of the lifeguards that don't do any shit jobs, when they start on the beach, they don't actually appreciate it. So having a little bit of suffering gives you that appreciation for what you're actually doing, because anything gets tedious after a while.
Yeah, but you'd have winter months would be tedious for you guys, wouldn't it?
Yeah, so I'm not at the beach full time anymore. There's always something to do. Bondi is quite unpredictable. We're fortunate enough to work in a bigger team, so there's always something going on. There's maintenance, there's checks, there's, unfortunately, this is a mental health podcast. We live near the Gap, and we are potentially first responders to the Gap, depending on what else is going on. So whilst we're at work having a laugh, we're always ready for the shit to hit the fan.
So the Gap, for people that don't know, that's essentially a cliff where people sometimes go to end their life.
Yeah, it's it's infamous.
Yeah,
it potentially, I believe it was the number one spot where people were committing suicide for some period of time. I don't know and not up to speed, but I'm working in mental health. I do know those numbers are still tragically high, and it's not a fun way to start the podcast, but it is really important to acknowledge that we're all doing our part to try and lessen that. And particularly what I do now in breathwork and cold therapy, it very much relates to teaching people about stress. And
for sure. I mean, and then because we'll get onto the cold water therapy thing soon. So as a lifeguard, attending to a death by suicide, how does that play into your psyche? Because I assume when you get into the lifeguarding game, you wouldn't think that's part of the gig.
Yeah, I get you don't really think of that sort of stuff when you start out. Interestingly enough, as horrible as it sounds, I've been involved in maybe bringing 25 or 30 people back to life, and some of these people didn't make it, but I would much rather work on someone that's chosen to commit suicide than someone that's drowned.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Because if a dad goes to the beach with his kids and something happens to him or his kids, these people weren't choosing to end their life. So I find the boys actually, and I'm paraphrasing a little bit, and I can't speak for the team entirely, but generally a drowning hits the team really hard.
Yeah.
There's a whole range of things that could have been done differently. Signs could have been in different places. Rescues could have gone differently. Jet ski could have been launched earlier. There's a whole range, and these things just play over in lifeguards' heads for a week. Now, fortunately, we rarely have drownings. They're maybe every couple of years at best. So it's the heavy side of the job that people maybe don't see or don't appreciate.
Do they have any kind of do they have therapy in place for the lifeguards, so that if somebody was to lose their life and it was on your shift, what kind of backup do they have to support you guys?
Yeah, we've introduced that, or that's a part of the program now. There's sort of mandatory counselling with those really serious injuries. I know last year on the show, the boys resuscitated a 6 or 8 month old baby that fell off a car, and it was just intense.
Yeah.
And the way you resuscitate a baby is different to an adult, and it literally hadn't been done before. And it's just, it was a really unique situation, and there's a little bit of self-doubt, and there's some challenges. And whilst the result was fantastic, immediately you don't know that.
Yeah.
You go home just rocked. And the shifts the guys are doing at the moment, they start at 6 a.m. and they don't finish till 7 p.m. at night. And this baby resuscitation, they got called to it at about 7:15. So they had 7:15 at night. So they had been, at the beach since potentially 5:30 in the morning. So this is at the end of sort of 13 or 14 hours at the beach. It's even lucky they were still there.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's, we do get some real tough stuff every now and then.
How do you deal with dickheads on the beach? Because
it's a great question.
You would have those ones where you go, okay, look, you made a mistake and I'm helping you. But then you have those ones that are just plain fuckwits that
What are you talking about? On the beach or in the water?
on the beach, in the water, whatever, that choose to ignore what you're doing, that choose to ignore all the safety protocols, to choose to just be that person. How do you deal with somebody like that? Because I could imagine if they got into trouble, you'd want to just go,
You're on your own.
Fuck off. You're on your own. You did it to yourself, you dickhead. And you can't do that.
Working with challenging people it's brutal. You know, we'd have people that would walk their dogs on the beach and we can't find them. And these people, they don't care. They just walk their dogs on the beach and they potentially know that they're not going to get fined. So if I get my knickers in a knot at 6:15 in the morning because someone's got their dog on the beach, they don't give. And if I lose my shit at them, it actually it doesn't even ruin their day. It ruins my day.
Yeah, I was going to say, it affects you more than it affects them. Yeah, good point.
The art is not to let it ruin your day. And, you know, people do criticise councils and government. And
we all do, but, you know, it's easiest target.
But you know, the poor thing about working for local council, they're sort of damned if they do and damned if they don't. People can complain no matter what. And so, you know, if someone gets fined, you know, with their dog off their lead, bloody council, they're the worst. But, you know, there's also people going, there's dogs on the beach. So there's this no-win situation. So the important thing to me is to sort of remain calm as best you can and try and enjoy what we do. Now, rescuing people, the guys quite enjoy. It is a bit frustrating if you've told them to move a couple of times before you rescue them. But yeah, the stressful bit is our customer service. We're sort of, you know, there might be 20, 30, even 40,000 people we're trying to manage for 5 or 6 people. So when you've got one person dominating your time, which is potentially spread across, you know, you should be looking after 5,000 people and one person is dominating your time. But yeah, effective customer service for me might involve yelling and screaming at someone.
Any jab, break their nose, I think?
Well, I think H-Man slapped someone the other year. Yelling at someone to get off the back of the jet ski. You may have to use encouraging, colourful language to get them off as quick as possible so you can get back out and save someone else's life.
Yeah.
And everyone sort of knows this, so it's a strange way of doing customer service. It's not like the customer's always right. It's like, get the fuck out of the way because I've got to go save someone else. Just move.
Exactly. Yep.
And alcohol would play a major part in Bondi, wouldn't it?
Well, not as much anymore. Years ago, it was a worry. Christmas Day, New Year's Day, Boxing Day, it was a miracle when we'd get through some of those days. On my first shift, I remember a girl just drunk as a skunk, just grabbing me on the face and trying to stick a tongue in my mouth.
What a horrible day at work.
Well, it was my first day, like Christmas Day 2000, terrible. A couple of years later, I would have found it quite enjoyable and quite funny.
Well, yeah.
But yeah, it was, but that's, if a guy did that to a girl, could you imagine the sexual assault?
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God, yes, it'd be totally fish.
I enjoy being objectified, so it wasn't a worry to me, and I should probably encourage it now these days. Really,
you know what? I wish I was objectified. Fuck, it doesn't happen.
The day's still early, Dion. The day's still early.
Brown Park.
I want to say a big thanks to Grow Clinics for their continued support of the Brown Park podcast. And are you noticing a receding hairline or a widening part? Hair loss is a common concern for many Australians, but there is hope. Grow Clinics, the leading hair growth experts in Australia and New Zealand, with clinics in Melbourne, Sydney, Brisbane, the Gold Coast, Perth and Auckland, can help you get your confidence back. Grow understands that hair loss is a sensitive issue, and that's why they offer personalised treatments designed to achieve the best possible results for each individual, whether you're experiencing male or female pattern hair loss. One of their most popular options is a minimally invasive hair transplant technique. Now, it's performed by highly skilled professionals. This virtually painless procedure leaves no noticeable scarring, and plus, with Grow's online consultation, starting your journey towards a fuller head of hair is convenient and accessible. Do not let hair loss hold you back any longer. Regain your confidence with Grow Clinics. Visit their website at growclinics.com.au or call them today to book a free consultation. That's growclinics.com.au and defy genetics with Grow.
Brown Park.
Now let's talk about cold water therapy. This is what you are dedicating your life to now, helping people to realise the benefits of it. And it's something that here we go, but we've experimented with once.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we did.
Dion.
Well, one of us did.
Dion.
One of us did.
Go on.
Well, so we reached out to this, I think it's called Recovery Lab, and they had this ice bath challenge. It was 8 degrees for 8 minutes.
Ooh.
And I said to Christo, all right, let's go do this. This will be, a bit of a fun adventure. And he goes, all right, let's do it. So.
Was it for a good cause, Dion?
No, just for shits and giggles.
Yeah.
Dino, I like to push myself,
okay.
Out of my comfort zone, and both of us do for that matter.
I was just trying to see if Christo let anyone down, or it was just himself.
No. Just please hold that thought. So we get to Recovery Lab. We go in. They tell us what the go is. So Christo's first in. Christo proceeds to put his first foot in, second foot in, and essentially starts hyperventilating. I can't do it. And he had a go again. I think he got up to his shins, didn't you? Maybe his shins?
Yeah, it wasn't it didn't hit the private area, no.
Yeah, no, didn't touch his testicles at all. I mean, he's got big balls from what I hear, but didn't quite hit the water. So that was him done. He couldn't do it. He couldn't put his bum in. But in his defense, he was going through some challenging stuff at the time, so I don't think mentally he was even prepared going in.
Oh, I think even though that I'm better now, I still don't think I could do it.
You can totally do it because I would stand behind you and push your head down. So then I gave it a crack. I managed to do the 8 minutes and did it, but definitely a challenge and the amount of concentration and, like you say, because I did a bit of research going in. Look, I realized that I needed to breathe and just surrender to it. But definitely the benefits I felt after it. I definitely felt alive. I felt energized after it. It was excellent.
Yeah.
So maybe apart from Christo's, Christo's foot felt really good, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
I mean, we've spoken about it before, and he just goes a bit quiet now. He's like, fucking this again.
Yeah.
But Dino, tell us. I mean, you've been doing it since, what was it, 2018 or something, was it?
Yeah, so my toe got ripped off when I was living in Bali in 2014.
Okay, firstly, before you get into it, how?
I was on a motorbike. My safety barefoot feet lacked any protection at all. And I was in a real low-speed motorcycle accident. Unfortunately, the impact happened literally on let's call it my ring finger toe, and literally ripped off my pinky toe.
Jesus.
There's some gruesome photos on the internet if you want to jump on or share them around for viewers. We'll put that there if people have got a strong stomach.
Indeed, we will.
So ended up in hospital.
So you don't have a toe?
I've got, it's here.
Show us. Good. Oh, here we go.
See,
yes.
Okay. Half toe.
And actually, if you look at how fat this toe is, you can see this. Anyway, the toe shrunk. So I've got 9.5 toes. Mobility isn't that good. Anyway, ended up in hospital for 5 days. They put the toe back on. It was quite stressful. My 3-year-old daughter was on the motorbike at the time, so I was more worried about her than my toe. The people that actually ran into me, they had an accident as well. So I've got her in one arm, obviously looking around for danger and then trying to help the people that had just ripped my toe off. And then I knew I was in trouble. So I'm sort of bringing my wife or ex-wife at the same time.
And looking for your toe.
And, it was. So anyway, after 5 days, did a lot of research. Doctors saying, listen, toe's probably not going to survive. I'm like, I don't like you. Another doctor goes, oh, listen, the toe's got a chance. We've just got to get the inflammation down.
It was like we're talking about a baby, for Christ's sake.
Well, it wasn't. It wouldn't have been the end of the world if I only had 9 toes. It could have been worse. My daughter could have been hurt. Someone else could have got hurt. But I didn't want to end up back in hospital with an infection or to go back through or to amputate it. So the goal was just for it to heal. And, ended up in the ice bath in Bali, and not the toe, my foot wasn't in the water, just side note, it was out of the water. So I was getting sort of a systemic anti-inflammatory effect, which was able to potentially decrease inflammation around the toe to get blood to the area to sort of improve circulation and sort of support my health. And, I think there was, it supported my mental willpower just to believe that I was doing everything I could for that toe to survive. And whatever it was, it helped and the toe survived.
What's the hospital system like in Bali?
Well, I had worked actually it's better than here. When the hospital room that I was in was much nicer than the room my son was born in 2011. Really? Absolutely. So we did Bondi Rescue Bali in 2008.
Yeah.
So I had been over there. I had sent people to hospital. I was familiar with the International Medical Centre there. Yeah. The trick is if you don't pay, I do hear that they might leave you on the street outside to die. So as long as you pay,
so as long as you've got money,
a couple of credit. Yeah, as long as you've got money, you get very.
So it's the American system.
It's an American system. So I was like calling them in advance, and I had 2 credit cards ready. I'm like, here, charge this, call the doctors. I had a friend of a friend who organised a nurse there, and I got welcomed with open arms, and they were amazing. I had enough Indonesian to sort of get through, and I was very, very fortunate.
So you did the cold water bath, and then you've implemented it into your life now.
Yeah. So my background is sort of. I was an asthmatic, and I had this sort of passion for breathing and yoga and a couple of things.
I too have a passion for breathing. Just putting it out there.
Yeah, I don't know. To me, I think it's overrated, but
And what I do now, and we touched on it before, Dion, is when Christo got into that ice bath, he hyperventilated. So when you hyperventilate, you go into that fight or flight, that stress response, and essentially that makes pain worse. Now, if we talk in lifeguard words, when people get in a rip and they hyperventilate, they're in trouble because they panic, they use all their energy, and these people are more likely to drown and die. So what I'm doing now is coaching the breathing aspect and understanding the stress responses in the body to support through a whole range of different things in people's lives. But so the passion is for breathing better and potentially my dysfunctional breathing as a kid, my asthma. There's some strong links to learning difficulties and even ADHD or whatever they call it now. And it's really fascinating when you delve into this stuff on a deeper level. So it's very holistic. It used to be alternate, and now all these things, there's a shitload of evidence and peer-reviewed science behind them, and we can sort of validate or say with some level of certainty that this was contributing to this.
You know how the world sort of goes through those periods where something seems to be the hot product of the moment. To me, it feels like this is one of those, but because everybody is like, oh, well, I went and did an ice bath this morning, or everybody on social media is kind of like, oh, look, here we like you can't do an ice bath without putting it on social media because people need
that
to
and Wim Hof,
sorry,
as well, sort of that and Wim Hof sort of brought breath work and cold water, I guess, therapy to the forefront. But I mean, Chris, I think on that, yes, it's definitely every man and his dog's doing it, but I think it's so well communicated now because it's working for people as well. So I'm not sure if it's just a fad.
Yeah, no, but that's where I was going with it. It's like it seems to be a fad at the moment, but do we know what the long-term effects are on I'm just playing devil's advocate.
Yeah, no, great question, mate. So there's no long-term studies on cold therapy. There are long-term studies on sauna, and they're amazing. Now, all these studies are done on men, so good for us. Unfortunately for the other population, who seemingly, according to the scientists that I've spoken to, are much harder to study. Sorry, women, it's true. My girlfriend hates it when I say women are harder to study. But
we're still trying to figure them out, aren't we? Come on.
Just repeating what I've been told. This is not I haven't come to this conclusion by myself. So the long 28-year studies, fantastic research, all cause mortality down 50% for men that are saunaing 4 times a week for about 20 minutes.
So what are the health benefits of the sauna then? Because I mean, I've got like the guy my wife works for, he's just put in his own sauna at his house. And you see Joe Rogan is all about the saunas and cold water therapy too, for that matter. So what are the actual health benefits of a sauna then, or the proven health benefits?
Yeah, so saunas, it mimics exercise a little bit. So you sweat, you detoxify, your blood pressure increases, your heart rate increases, and it adds a stressor to the body. And these type of stresses are called hormetic stresses. And it's the dose of hormetic stress is what the body responds positively to. So if you stay in that sauna for too long, you're not going to respond positively to it. It could actually damage you, make you sick, make you dehydrated. There could be some negative consequences. But if you're in that positive response range, depending on temperature, frequency and duration, your body's going to respond really positively to this. Now, the ice bath is similar, except you need less time in the ice bath to get a response from the
Dion
body.
over here did 8 minutes in the ice bath. We were having a chat while he was making a coffee before we jumped on this podcast, and you said that was not ideal.
Well, for a first timer, I would, the benefits of cold therapy, Christo, and sauna, it comes from repeated use. So if Dion jumps in the ice bath once for 8 minutes, smashes his 8 minutes and does it again next year, he's not going to get the benefit. He might be able to put it on social media and get a couple of likes, but what we want is people to make it part of some sort of health.
Definitely.
So the recommendation is 11 minutes per week, and it's pretty loose. It doesn't talk about the actual temperature of the ice bath, the frequency or temperature, frequency, duration. So we've got to sort of speak to each one specifically, but we want people to as well understand that, when I grew up as a kid, I thought, my mum used to say, if you get cold, you'll get sick.
Yes.
So I was scared of the cold. So it's understanding that actually a little bit of hot and a little bit of cold are not necessarily bad for us, and it's actually the reverse is true. So these things can actually have a really positive response on the body.
I mean, there's guys too that are talking about they have cold showers in the morning instead of warm showers. Is that something that you do or something that you recommend? Like, what's the go with that? Because I've tried, and like, whilst I'm good with breath work, I get in the shower and go, I'm going to do a cold shower, and it's like 2 seconds. Nah, put the warm on.
Yeah, it's tougher. If I want to have a cold shower, I've got to shower outside with no hot tap, and I find it much easier when I go inside and there's a hot tap there. I struggle a little bit. Now, I've got a permanent cold tub, and I do my fair share of cold water therapy. So I don't actually feel the need for me to cold shower all the time. If I've been surfing, usually I'm cold at the end of it, and having a cold shower at the end of it would just be potentially making my life harder. And sometimes adding stress to your life can be positive.
Yeah.
But what I'm doing with people is trying to educate them to add the right amount of stress to your life. A great analogy for people is if they go for a 5 or a 10K run and they feel good, it'd be like going for a 40K run. Maybe that 8-minute ice bath is like a 40K run.
I like it.
And doing this over time is not going to be good for you. Your body's going to start to break down. You're going to start to get injured. It's too much. So, we just want to get people to understand, because exercise is like sauna and ice bathing or cold water. It's a hormetic stress. And we've got to get the right dose for the body to respond positively to.
So not 8 minutes in one go, and not 11 minutes a week, Dion, all in one go either.
Brown.
Pop.
As always, a huge thank you to our sponsors, Grow Clinics. Now, if you're tired of looking in the mirror and seeing your hair thinning, you're not alone. Hair loss affects millions of Australians, but the good news is there are solutions. Grow Clinics can help you get your hair back. They're the leading hair growth experts in Australia and New Zealand, with clinics in Melbourne, Sydney, Brisbane, Gold Coast, Perth and Auckland. At Grow, they understand that hair loss can be a sensitive issue. That's why they offer a variety of personalised treatments, all designed to give you the best possible results. So whether you're experiencing male or female pattern hair loss, they have a solution for you. One of the most popular options is a minimally invasive hair transplant. It's virtually painless, performed by highly skilled professionals, and leaves no noticeable scarring. With Grow's online consultation, starting your journey towards a fuller head of hair has never been easier. So don't wait any longer. Get the confidence back that you deserve with Grow Clinics. Visit their website at growclinics.com.au or give them a call today to book a free consultation. That's growclinics.com.au. Grow Clinics, defy genetics with Grow.
Brown.
Pop.
Throughout my life, I've had a couple of scenarios where I've had to really take time and breathe. So when I was a kid, I was similar to you, I had asthma. And one time I had a collapsed lung and the doctor thought I was faking it. So they sent me home.
Wow.
Ended up in intensive care. And I remember the doctor at the time saying, slow your breathing down. And once you get that heart monitor down to X, then you can go home. So the whole time I was in intensive care, I was just like, and just breathing, just watching that screen, just trying to get that down. And then another time, I had a twisted testicle.
Oh.
In high school. Yes, we've spoken about it before, but twisted balls.
Oh, yeah.
Let me tell you, if there's anything you got to breathe through, it's a twisted nut. So yeah, I mean, in that moment, I was just trying to breathe through that as well. And
Self-inflicted?
I wasn't playing with it at the time. It happened on the school bus, funnily enough. I mean, that's not I swear I wasn't playing with it. And then obviously because I was surfing, I've taken a few beatings and having to just sort of calm myself. Well, you're not breathing underwater, but just having to just take that moment to calm yourself down and take a deep breath when you get back to the surface for a second before you get pushed back down. So for me, there's been times in my life where I've had to actually use breath work, even unknowingly. Like I look back to that doctor in intensive care, and I think I was only I might have been like 9, and for him to put that focus on me then, I didn't even realize what he was actually doing, but really set me on the right path because it was touch and go there for a bit.
Yeah, wow.
What with the testicle?
Well, funny enough, they did say if I didn't get into surgery, I might have lost my nut. And then I would have been, well, look, hey, let's take this for a spin around the block. So I was in high school when this happened, and I got an older brother. It happened. I was really embarrassed about it. Went back to school a week later, and my mum and dad said to my brother, "Do not tell any of your friends. He's a bit embarrassed about it. Just don't."
He would have told everybody.
Yeah, so I walk into Kingscliff High School, and one of the first people I see, "Oh, how's it going, Tangles?" I'm like, "Fuck, fuck." So yeah, brothers, he did what he should. He did the right thing and told everybody, and well, lived that one down. But we digress.
You know how you've got your cold plunge, but you've also got the cold rooms? I can't think of what they're actually called at the moment. But yeah, something like that. Yeah. What's the difference between those two?
Yeah, the cryotherapy chambers are popular. I haven't experienced them as much. Cold air is not as great as a conductor of thermal conductor, so heat or cold as water is. So it's, in those cryotherapy rooms, I think they get down to minus 50, minus 70. Yeah. Potentially they are not as hard or on a similar level as an ice bar. So it does sound a bit more impressive. Oh yeah, it's minus 100 in there, but it's really not. Evolutionarily speaking, did that come out right? I think I got it on the second go. I imagine humans went in and out of the cold for a long time. So that's one of the benefits of cold therapy. We weren't getting down to these minus 100 degrees temperatures. Yeah. Whereas we would have gone in cold water a lot.
Yeah.
And tell me, it may or may not be a stupid question, but like breath work, I understand. What about cold water therapy for kids?
Yeah, I like putting kids in the cold water as opposed to breath work. I actually find it gamifies it more. The kids can sometimes struggle to focus on the breathing exercise and can cheat and can not do it properly. Yeah, they can fake it. Whereas if you put a kid in the cold water,
they can't fake it.
You've either got to you got to focus. Yeah. Now football players, they can suffer through it. They've done it for long, and they can just sort of sit there and muscle through it. Over time, you could too, Christo. But what I'm actually trying to get people to do is to enjoy the cold water therapy, to understand the benefits, to know they're going to feel good afterwards, and it's going to be good for their immune system. There's going to be some anti-inflammatory. It's potentially going to help their gut health. Cardiovascular disease is the biggest killer worldwide. It's going to improve their circulation and maybe prevent or improve their longevity.
Yeah, I mean, on the breathwork part as well, with my daughter, if she can't find something or something that doesn't go her way, you can see her just put her body straight in a fight or flight. Like it just goes stress, and quite often we'll say, "Hey, just calm down, slow down." Any tips on, I guess, essentially, because we'll touch on kids first. Is there any tips on getting your child to calm down and focus on the breath? Like, how do you do that?
Yeah, great question. So when people are hyperventilating, they're breathing too much. They're breathing more than their metabolic needs require. And when you overbreathe, you get a decrease of oxygen to this thinking part of the brain. So it's really not ideal in some situations.
Mate, that's how I live my entire life.
Yeah. So, and this is, so people are asthmatics. They're overbreathing all day, every day. So we want people to essentially breathe less. And the first way we get to breathing less is to shut this thing. So our nose is just smaller than our mouth. And by breathing through our nose, it slows down the speed of air going in and going out if possible. And it filters the air. It gets it into the lower lobes of the lungs. So when people breathe in through the mouth, it goes into this upper chest. And you guys could do it right now. You could go, and you'll feel it come into here. Whereas if you do the reverse and breathe through the nose,
it goes deeper.
You're going to feel your diaphragm activate. Now, when you breathe through your diaphragm, it stimulates a relaxation response in the body. It also sort of stimulates that parasympathetic nervous system. So, yeah, breathing slowly, breathing diaphragmatically, and breathing a little bit less will get people out of a fight-or-flight response. And because this all comes back to lifeguarding, guys. I used to watch people in rips, and they'd panic, they'd stress out, they hyperventilate, and these are the people that need to be rescued and can get into trouble. Now, surfers are the same when they get dumped, when they get held under in a wave. And Dion, you talked about it before, right? When you get pinned under in a wave, what have you got to do when you're getting pinned?
Just wait, chill out, relax. Because you come back to the surface, but it's tough. Like, it takes a while to get there. When you obviously first start and you start surfing the bigger waves, you're under for a longer period of time. Remember, I got smashed at Kira during a cyclone swell one time, and I hit the water, and I was under for ages. And I'm like, okay, we're going to be here for a while. Let's just wait. Yeah. And eventually, I got back to the surface. But I know, in previous times, you'd panic and you'd be struggling to get back. And I remember one time I was actually freaking out, couldn't get back to the top, and I realized I was only like maybe 3 inches from the top of the water. But I was so busy freaking out that I lost it. And that's what, almost killed me.
So that response is what people go through, except on top of the water. People go through the same response, and they can actually die just in 10 foot of water.
All right. So socials, where are you? Where can we find you if anybody's interested in finding out more about their breath work and
working with you?
Yeah. Power of the Breath is my Instagram handle. But go to website, dinogladstone.com. If you Google me, I'm sure stuff will come up.
Yeah, we'll put the link up in our podcast notes too.
I mean, I love what you said before, that your physiology affects your psychology. So I think in our space where we do focus on mental health quite a bit, we have spoken about medication for mental health. We've spoken to people that don't want to use medication for mental health, exercise for the mental health, but we haven't actually ever touched on how breath work can help.
Yeah. So dysfunctional breathers, Dion, they're hyperventilating all day, every day.
Yeah.
And so if you look at the data we've got, people with mental health issues, 80% of those, 60 to 80% of those are dysfunctional breathers. When you change their breathing, their mental health issues decrease, or in some cases go away and don't come
Hey, so Christo, tell me, Christo, because we've never spoken about it before, but you suffer depression, we're open about that. Do you think that you dysfunctionally breathe?
I've never actually considered it right until this point.
Interesting.
The thing is with it, Dion, we take about 25,000 breaths a day. So it may not look like he's breathing dysfunctionally, but if his breathing is out 1, 2, 5%, you times that by 25,000 breaths, times that by 7 days a week. It sounds like his mouth was open at night and he wakes up with a dry mouth. So he's certainly dysfunctionally breathing at night sometimes. It builds up over time, and sickness and health is a chronic thing. It takes years for these chronic things to build up in our system. It's not sort of one day of dysfunctional breathing is going to make him sick. This is sort of happening for 10, 15 years.
So, before we let you go, because I'm just, my mind's starting to ask more questions, but what about people that, because it feels like breathing through the nose is key. What about people with deviated septums and that type of thing that can't get a full breath or a full breath through their nose?
So sleep apnea is a huge one that some of this terminology now was sort of unheard of in mainstream lingo, but sleep's another fad as well. So people with sleep apnea that are snoring, their mouths are opening at night and this closes their throat. And they're essentially sort of choking or stopping breathing at night for sometimes minutes. So they're getting a decrease of oxygen to the brain. So this adds stress onto the cardiovascular system. There was one study that is in one of the books that Patrick McEwen wrote, who I teach for, The Oxygen Advantage. 150 people that had heart attacks. Now, these people had survived. 100% of those were dysfunctional breathers.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Wow.
So there's obviously many other factors involved, but, it's adding maybe 5-10% more stress to the body, and cumulatively over time, this stress kills people.
Yeah. I guess you can habit stack. Like if you focused on your breathing, if you just focus while you're driving, all right, I'm just going to focus on breathing through my nose while I'm driving. That's going to help, right? Just the small changes.
Yeah. That's going to bed earlier, chewing your food more. The simple things are really powerful.
Well, Dino Gladstone, thank you very much for joining us on the podcast today.
What pleasure, gang.
Chatting about cold water therapy.
Let's do a mouth taking challenge for you guys for a week.
Can I do it with Dion?
Hey. Yeah, no, definitely. Hey, Chris, let's. So where do we buy these the mouth tape from?
I'll sell it on my website, dinogladstone.com.
All right, Christo, I think this is going to be a challenge. I think we're going to jump on the website, buy some mouth tape, and give it a crack and see how we go.
All right.
Done.
Beautiful, boys.
There you go, Dean. There's $20.
Mate made a sale.
Yeah. Hey, there you go. Told you it was going to be worth your while, Dean.
Nice, mate. Thank you very much for joining us on the show, and best of luck in the future.
Thank you.
Pleasure, gents.
Brown Podcast.
Why are you happy?
It's cool.